Hello, this tutorial is to help walk you through the steps for using Tiki-Toki for our class timelines in our Modern Latin American History class. Hopefully this class shell looks somewhat familiar to you. I know as the semesters go by, the color in the background might be a little different, but this will be generally the layout of our classes in Blackboard. To find the timeline assignment, you can either get there from the syllabus. There are live links to all of the assignment instructions there. Or you can go here to the course content section of the menu and click on timeline, which I've just done. So there's a lot of stuff here for you. Once I've completed this video, it will be here. So there will be a few videos posted here, different kinds of tutorials for your timeline work. As you scroll down, you'll find the places where you submit your work to Blackboard. So something that should become pretty apparent as we go through this is that you have to submit both to Blackboard and to Tiki-Toki. That's just a kind of means of backing everything up to make sure that you have a copy of your work and to make sure that I can always find your work on the timeline. So going back to the top, to find the timeline assignment instructions, that's the second button there. So that opened a new tab and the instructions will load. Here they are. I'm going to go back to the original Blackboard tab. So I'm going to be switching back and forth between tabs here. And I'm also going to open up the course timeline. So if we click this, this will take us to our class timeline on Tiki-Toki. And let's see. I'm going to hit continue. Something that I forgot is that I've already posted here. So what I'm actually going to do in a minute is delete this to show you how to post it. And also underscore the fact that please be really careful not to delete anyone else's work or to delete the timeline. I've been using this assignment a lot with my New Mexico history classes. This is the first time using it with 1182. I've only had one time ever over a few years of this that someone has actually erased the whole timeline. Fortunately, it came early in the term before we'd actually done work there, so it was easy to fix. But please be careful when you're here. And again, I say it that way, makes it sound like it's really easy to do. It's not. It's not that easy to do. So just make sure you don't delete things. All right, so let's see. I've opened the instructions and the timeline. So let's look at the timeline assignment. I'm not going to read through the specifics of the assignment, but again, I'm just using this to show you how to get into Tiki-Toki and how to post something to Tiki-Toki. I'll have a different video that will kind of walk you through the particulars of the assignment. We're all going to be using the same timeline, so you don't need to create your own Tiki-Toki account. Instead, you just need to copy and paste the username and password that are listed here to log in. To log in, once you get to the class timeline, so again, switching back and forth between tabs, you go to the login button. It's here at the top right. So you click that, and it takes you to this page where this little thing drops down. You paste in the username, and then you type in or paste in, I know what it is, so I'm just going to kind of cut that step out, the password, and you're logged in. This is what you see when you first log in. You need to scroll down just a little bit to the words Modern Latin American History, and then you need to just click on those. And you'll notice you're back at the course timeline, but this time you're logged in, so you have this admin button, and that's what will allow you to post to the timeline. When you click on this, you don't need to ever click My Account or Group Edit. You don't really need to click Settings, Category, Spans, or Feeds, none of that. Just stay in the Stories tab, and then as we go, as we add more entries, we'll see them here in a list. So I'm going to delete this one, as I mentioned, because I'm going to build it all over again. I'm going to click Create New Story. So again, you don't delete anything when you work on this, but instead you just click Create New Story. Something I've done in the timeline assignment, if you scroll down a little bit here, there are two steps, an identification step and a connection step. You can get more details about those by reading this or through the other video. But at the end of the instructions for the ID step, I have embedded a link to this example that I created. So this is an example of essentially what you need to do. when you go to post on the timeline. Once you've read through the unit and you've made your decision about what topic you would like to post to the timeline, and again, it's totally open to you. The only limit is that you have to choose something that we cover within the unit we're currently studying. So for example, Unit 2, we're talking about independence, the independence era, and we're also talking about the creation of new nations. So anything from within the readings and the videos that we've looked at is fair game. What you want to do, though, before anything else, once you've made your choice, is go to the timeline and write the title of the topic that you would like to do. So if you'll notice, mine is transculturation in Latin America. I'm going to paste that there. I'm going to place it on the timeline. Let me actually, before I do that, down here where it says intro, I'm just going to write my name, by Brandon Morgan. This is actually a theme in Latin American history. And so I'm doing sort of an outlier here. I mentioned the limit is that you have to do something that fits within the unit, but every now and then there are big topics like transculturation that would fit in any unit. And if you read my entry, you'll kind of see why that's the case. So this began roughly in 1492, and it continues to the present. When you go to enter the date, you click on the calendar and this pops up. You have to decide whether it's AD or BC. We don't have any BCs in this class, so you don't need to worry about that. As I mentioned, mine begins 1492 because that's when Columbus came to the Americas. I don't require you to be super specific. You don't need to go look up the exact date Columbus came to the Americas, for example, for this one. You just need to click January 1st, and you have to click a date on the calendar or it won't save correctly. 1492. If you do know the specific date, if you're doing a person, for example, and you have their birth date, go, by all means, do that one. But again, for a trend like this, you can be pretty general. So I'm clicking confirm, and I'm going to bring this up to the present. So I'm going to say 2017. And, again, I'll just choose the starting date of our class. 18. Monday is the first day. Click confirm, and you'll notice those dates have populated here and also here on my entry on the timeline. So what I've just done is I've created a placeholder. I click save, and if I leave and go away, if someone comes to the timeline, they will see that I've already chosen transculturation in Latin America, and they'll know that I'm researching that, so they can't take it. That's the way you claim your topic. So again, you want to put the placeholder on the timeline first before you do any of your research or anything else. Then, once you have claimed it, you will go and you'll create your Word document. This is the example again, where you include an outside source, a video or an image, and then you write a few paragraphs that define your topic and explain its historical significance. This one's probably a little longer than many that you might do, just because it's such a broad, overarching cultural theme in Latin American history. So what I'm going to do next is enter all of the text. So I've already taken the time, I've done my research, I've entered this here, or I've written it, I should say, and my computer is not wanting to play nice. There we go. I highlight everything, Control or Command C if you're on a Mac, and go over here. Don't just paste it in the intro box. So click Extra Info, click on the full text box, and paste it here. You'll notice this one, again, it's such a broad topic. I put some extra sources. You don't always have to do that for yours, but I'm going to click Save, and you'll notice that when you go here to your entry, click More. I'm going to minimize that for a second. There is all my text, and it appears in a slightly different color than the rest of the text. For example, if you just paste everything into the intro box, it'll all be in italics, and none of the spaces will be there. It'll look just like by Brandon Morgan, and it'll be all mashed together. So that's why I said to use the extra info box for the bulk of your entry. To enter your media, so you always need to choose either an image or a video, depending on what fits best for your topic. You click on the media button, and then you click Add New Media. I go back to the work that I've done. Again, everything's here. I just have to plug it in. And I copy the URL for, this is a YouTube video this time around. That was what I found rather than just an image. And I will paste that into the source box. Then I will choose video from the type. If you want, you can put in a different thumbnail image, but that's not required. You don't have to caption it unless you want to. Click save. So notice here's my video, and it will play in the timeline. Going back to basic info, I'm going to add the last element that I've not yet added, and that's my outside source. So I have a link to a book that's available online via Google Books. I copied the URL, as you noticed, and I'm going to paste it here in the link box. And again, click save. Click save early and often. That's something that's really important with the timeline. It's one of the reasons I have you write everything out, so that here you just have to paste it in, so you don't lose any of your work, because this sometimes might kick you out. So actually this is done now. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to click this here. So this is what every entry will look like, and then when you want to see more, you click the more button and you will see the video. You'll see my entry, and as you'll see my extra sources, and below that, this find out more button, that's where the outside source that I embedded comes in. This takes you to that book that I mentioned at Google Books. When it comes time to do the connection step, so remember, for each unit, you need to post an ID step by the second Wednesday, and then you need to post a connection by the second Sunday. When you go to do your connection, you'll look over everyone else's posts. There will be more here then, and you'll find something that connects to yours. It needs to be something that directly connects, not something that you're making a comparison between or to, but something that actually influenced or impacted the person that you're writing about. So for example, if you wrote about Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna as president of Mexico, and someone else had posted on the US-Mexico War, you could make a connection there because Santa Anna was president of Mexico during the period of the war. He led troops in the field, and he was the one who gained the reputation for losing territory twice to the US. So again, that's something that directly connects to him. You're not making a comparison, but you're finding something that directly connects to your topic. Having said all of that, if you look at the timeline and nothing directly connects to what you have posted, by all means, just pick a different topic. So you don't have to make another entry. You don't have to do another ID step. But when you go to do your connection, you post to your own again. So I'm going to go back to transculturation to edit it. And I'm going to go back to extra info, scroll to the bottom, and then enter a couple of times, and then write my connection here. And mine might be if somebody had posted on the Tupac Amaru rebellion. I would then explain how the theme of transculturation influenced and impacted that rebellion at the end of the colonial period, the beginning of the independence era. And I write mine here, and I click save. But again, you do that on your own. You don't write on the entries that other people have posted. Even though you're looking at theirs, you might even reference, their name, so-and-so posted this, and that's what I'm referencing. But do all the writing on your own entry, if that makes sense. So again, I hope that helps, shows you how to use Tiki-Toki so that we can build this timeline together. It's been pretty successful. I enjoy it much more than having work on the discussion board week in and week out, and I hope that you will too, and that you'll find it a helpful and useful learning tool.